It's been 4 years since the tragedy occurred at Mother Emanuel AME Church. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with Reverend Callie Walpole of Grace Church Cathedral. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Reverend Callie Walpole, it's so good to see you again here on Quintin's Close-Ups.
It's always good to see you, Quintin.
I appreciate it greatly. Obviously, you are a busy woman as well as I am, as a busy man. What is that one biblical scripture that you can refer to describe you right now?
Come unto me, all ye that travail and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest for your soul. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light.
Obviously, you talk about rest. We are trying to still remember what happened over at Mother Emanuel 4 years ago. And unfortunately, the pain is still there for many people. How is your pain 4 years later?
Well, I think that what we've been trying to do regularly is work with a group from Mount Zion AME, our next door neighbors on Glebe Street. We're on Wentworth Street, as you know, and we have a book study, and we meet every Tuesday afternoon at 5 o'clock for 1 hour. And we've been doing that now for probably almost 3 years, or over 3 years. And we've read over 20 books, and it really gives us an opportunity to delve deep and to probe some of these very difficult questions. And what we're discovering is that we're learning so much, so many things that we did not know. And it's through the telling and retelling of stories. And so as people share their stories, I heard once that listening to the stories of others is a form of prayer. And so we strive to listen to one another's stories. We also have periodic okra soup suppers.
Yes.
And so that gives us an opportunity to gather together and have speakers and again have people share around tables, around a wonderful bowl of okra soup over rice and a little bit of cornbread.
Yes.
And of course okra soup being that quintessential low country staple.
Right.
With roots in West Africa, okra soup is a mechanism for us to enter into communion with one another. And so that's one of the things that we do periodically here as well. And then too, this coming Sunday here at Grace Church Cathedral on June 23rd is Bishop Gary's Sunday. And across our church, in the Episcopal Church in South Carolina, we observe the feast day of our patron saint and martyr. And we're sitting right now in the Bishop Gary Chapel. Gary was assassinated in 1928 in Charleston by one of his priests. And this priest was eaten up with racial hatred. And so then the story, as stories do sometimes, the story went underground and was buried. And so many folks here forgot that we actually had, as our legacy here, as Episcopalians, that we had a murdered bishop, a martyred bishop. And so that is our legacy here, is because he said that the church must be broad enough to embrace within its communion every living human soul.
You talk about, obviously, racial hatred. That's exactly what happened at Mother Emanuel on June 17, 2015. You talk about the questions that you have usually during the okra soup and other Bible study events. What more questions do you have about racism in 2019?
We've come so far, yet we have so much farther to go, don't we? There's so much that I still see, that racism still pervades much of society. And it's maybe quieter in some instances, but more overt, of course, in other instances. And so I think that we still do have a long way to go to achieve that unity where everyone is aware that and can know that we are all God's children.
Yes, indeed. where do we go from here? How do we continue to unite the city and really the world?
I think we keep putting one foot in front of the other. We keep trying to make a difference in small ways. And to me, it's sometimes not in the big ways, it's in the small ways, it's in relationships. And so it's in the shared experiences and the connections that we build with one another, and the authentic relationships. And so, how do we do that? That means we spend time with one another, and we recognize the importance of that, and that crosses racial lines, doesn't it?
And you talked earlier about experiences and connections, and I thought to myself, what experiences and connections have you had over the past 4 years since this tragedy?
I think that the experience for me, or the experiences that have been most transformative, have been working with people like the Reverend Dr. Callie Middleton.
Sure.
He and I facilitate the Tuesday book study, as you know. And so learning from Callie, listening to his experiences, and the experiences of so many others. You just interviewed Liz Alston. She's a fixture in the book study every Tuesday afternoon. So she's, in fact, one of her books, a book she wrote back in the 70s, is getting ready to be, a new publication will be reissued of this book that she wrote, something for the school district.
Sure.
And so keep your eyes out for that.
Yes.
But again, listening to the stories of so many who've gone before, and so many who have struggled, and so that's been probably for me an incredibly transformative occasion. I mean, think about it: once a week for over 3 years, an hour a week, every single Tuesday, we're meeting. That's a lot of time to spend together. And it's a large group. I mean, it's a group from say 25 to 50 people that meet regularly. And so I think that has, there's a reason that we keep showing up week after week, and it's because we're being molded and we're being changed. And that's getting back to relationships. I mean, relationships change us. Sometimes for worse, hopefully for the better. And so that's what we want these relationships to allow us to be changed, so that we can grow as we listen to the experience of others. One of the books that we read was Toni Morrison,
yes.
The Origin of Others. And so listening, putting oneself in the place of the other.
I want to go back to obviously our relationship since 2009 in a minute.
Wow.
But obviously you talk about the stories that you all have read over the past few years. What is that one story that still plays in your mind and heart right now?
Well, I'm biased. This is a recent story. I have a 15-year-old nephew named Ned, and he's just written a story for school, and it's a fictional short story, and he's writing it from the point of view of the son of an AME minister, and it's about how he ends up going to church with a young girl, and so it's seeing my 15-year-old nephew put himself in the place of another. I'm not sure that would have happened, that he would be writing a short story in 2019 from the point of view of the son of an AME minister, if this community had not been through what it has been through. And so those are the strange fruits, if you will, the way that God can bring healing and good out of tragedy, and the way that transformation within the hearts of people can actually occur. And so that to me is an example, conscious or unconscious on his part, it's certainly what I saw in reading his story. So that one that's been, again, I'm a biased aunt, so the story's sticking with me.
Yes, sticking with you. Obviously, you work with Dr. Kyle Milton a lot,
Yes.
and obviously he's an AME minister, and we obviously work a lot together with the folks at Mother Emanuel on a daily basis. Talk to me about the Grace Episcopal's relationship with the AME Church in this low country.
Well, Grace Church Cathedral has had a relationship for many years with Mount Zion AME. Today's Wednesday morning. Just yesterday afternoon at book study, Alfonso Brown of Gullah Tours was reminding the whole group that our gathering on Tuesday afternoons is not the first. That there was a group years ago. Alfonso was a part of it. A group of folks from Grace and Mount Zion that used to meet regularly, and we've had joint services before too. So that's been a relationship that's existed for many years.
Yes. You talk about relationships. I got to bring you back here. You know, I've known you since 2009 when I started coming here for Holy Communion on Wednesdays, and I'm hoping to come back for that. And obviously, you've been a part of this particular church and the staff since then. What is the biggest difference between 2009 and right now when you think of this church?
Well, I think the growth. This church has grown dramatically under the leadership of Dean Michael Wright. In 2009, Grace was Grace Episcopal Church. Now Grace is Grace Church Cathedral. And so those are just two changes: the growth and the fact that we are now a cathedral. And the cathedral simply means the seat of the bishop for the diocese, and the base church for the diocese, which is that represents the Episcopal Church in this region.
In your mind, from a biblical standpoint, where does Charleston go from here?
I think that following the advice of Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who said there can be no reconciliation without a proper confrontation, I think that Charleston has got to continue to confront its own past and not run away from its past. And once by confronting our past, we also confront ourselves. And so I think not to be afraid of confronting ourselves, because it's only through that proper confrontation that Archbishop Desmond Tutu talks about that we can ever even see ourselves, and I think it's in seeing ourselves that we see God, and so that's I think that Charleston's well on the way, but also has a long way to go.
Long way to go.
Because we are all part on this pilgrimage of life, and so it's a journey of discovery where each day we put that one foot in front of the other, and we continue moving forward.
Reverend Callie Walpole, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Thank you, Quintin.
Thank you. Likewise.